Defense Minister KwanJin says South Korea will not join the U.S.-led missile defense system. Kim told reporters Wednesday there should be proper grounds for South Korea to join the U.S. missile shield, but the program is inappropriate in every way considering necessity, suitability, and the astronomical costs. Kim stressed South Korea will establish its indigenous missile defense system. The minister said interoperability of the U.S. and South Korea means the South receives information needed to detect, identify, and track North Korea's missiles from U.S. assets. He added interoperability is very useful since the U.S. provides assets South Korea doesn't have. Kim also said the U.S. missile program is basically for defending the U.S. mainland, while the Korea air and missile defense is for defending South Korea and intercepting missiles from North Korea. He also said the government is not considering the purchase of Standard Missile 3 or the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, system. Kim said South Korea plans to upgrade the Patriot Advanced Capability 2 missiles to PAC-3 and develop mid- and long-range surface-to-air missiles by 2022 and 2020, respectively. The minister is believed to have held the unexpected meeting to reject speculations Seoul and Washington made a big deal to postpone the planned transfer of wartime operational control in return for Seoul's purchase of the U.S. missile defense program. Main opposition Democratic Party spokesman Kim Kwon-young said in a briefing earlier Wednesday that if South Korea adopts the THAAD system, it would go against the government's Korean Peninsula Trust-Building Initiative, for which China's cooperation is critical. He said adopting THAAD would incorporate South Korea into the U.S. missile defense system and pit Seoul against China. Kim also likened the adoption of THAAD to the U.S. selling its weapons in return for delaying the transfer of wartime command control of the Allied forces to South Korea. Kim remarks came after the Defense Ministry said Tuesday it's reviewing using THAAD. President Park Geun-hye says it's important South Korea replaces its traditional energy economy model because it's hurting the environment. She pledged to lead the transition to a new model that uses information and communications technology to help save electricity. Our KwanJin has more.
President Park Geun-hye has pledged to transform South Korea into a creative energy economy. Speaking at a special session of the 2013 World Energy Congress in the southeastern city of Daegu on Wednesday, the president said the world is faced with an energy trilemma of achieving energy security, energy equity, and environmental protection. She introduced her Creative Economy Initiative for the transformation, saying South Korea should take the lead to meet the challenge by combining creative ideas, science, and information and communications technology, or ICT. Park said by taking advantage of ICT, such as energy storage and management systems, electricity consumption can be reduced and the power that is saved can be traded at the power exchange with a proper system in place. Calling for a serious transition in global energy cooperation, she stressed the importance of laying out a unified legal and institutional foundation, such as an energy Magna Carta. President Park also called for change in energy policies by reforming regulations and the price system and expanding investment in clean energy sectors aimed at facilitating the reasonable distribution of energy resources and effective energy use. She expressed hope the World Energy Congress will play a role in bringing about changes and vowed Korea will lead the transition toward a creative energy economy. She also promised Korea's best efforts to coordinate global stances and induce cooperation, noting the country is a crude oil importer but an exporter of petroleum products. 권채령, KBS World Radio News.
Ruling Saenuri Party Chairman Hwang WooYea has called for the government's attention and response measures to maintain a stable exchange rate. Hwang made the remark at a party leadership meeting on Wednesday as he expressed concern the fast pace of the falling won-dollar exchange rate may have negative repercussions in the entire market. He noted the exchange rate dipped below 1,070 won a dollar, which is regarded as the red line to foreign exchange authorities. The chairman urged the government and financial authorities to closely examine whether the recent unusual net buying trend of domestic shares by foreigners is linked to the falling exchange rate. He also called attention to detecting moves of speculative funds in order to protect investors and businesses. Hwang also called for efforts to make the Korean won a key currency and suggested establishing a currency swap fund with neighboring countries to develop a joint defense against financial risks. Growth in the number of employed persons has topped 400,000 for the second straight month in September. According to Statistics Korea, roughly 25.5 million people were employed last month, up 463,000 compared to the same period last year. The increase is the highest since last September. The number of people with jobs grew in all age groups except for the group of 30-somethings. In particular, the number of employed people in their 20s surged by 32,000 last month, posting the highest increase in 17 months. As a result, the nation's employment rate stood at 60.4%, while the unemployment rate at 2.7% in September, down from 3% the previous month.
You're now listening to the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul, Korea.
The cabinet has agreed to revise a statute so cultural assets related to South Korea and foreign countries will receive greater protection. Our Kim So-yeon has more.
Prime Minister Chung Hong-won chaired a cabinet meeting Wednesday and approved a partial revision to the Cultural Properties Protection Act. The revision will expand the definition of assets located abroad in the statute to include cultural assets directly related to the history and culture of South Korea. The current law only protects Korean assets taken abroad. An official of the Cultural Heritage Administration told KBS World Radio News the revision will provide legal grounds for government efforts to boost international cooperation in protecting, for example, historic buildings overseas, such as the Korean Provisional Government Headquarters in Shanghai. The South Korean government has been paying close attention to historical buildings. Just last year, it purchased the building that housed the Korean Empire's legation in Washington from 1891 to 1905. The revision will also enable support to preserve intangible properties, such as a version of the Korean traditional folk song Arirang, sung by ethnic Koreans forced by colonial Japan to move to Sakhalin in the Russian Far East. South Korea will be able to send support to local Koreans in these areas to help them pass on Korean traditions. The Cultural Heritage Administration official says such efforts will be carried out through sufficient discussions with the countries the assets are located in. Following Wednesday's cabinet approval, the revision needs to be ratified by the National Assembly to take effect. Kim So-yeon, KBS World Radio News.
A province in South Korea has published a book on testimonies of how Korean cultural assets were illegally taken abroad. The release comes amid heightened interest these days on efforts to bring the properties home. North Gyeongsang Province and the Korea Cultural Heritage Redemption Headquarter Corporation published Times That Shouldn't Be Forgotten, a 470-page book on cultural assets taken overseas. Provincial officials collected witness testimonies and records from November 2012 for 1 year and conducted on-site inspections in 23 cities and counties. They also verified the materials through consultation with experts. The work focused on cases of illegal excavation and the pillaging of cultural properties during the Japanese colonial period and the Korean War. The publication is the first of its kind in the country. The ruling Saenuri Party has welcomed the opposition's positive response to the proposal to make a joint declaration on stopping political strife. During a senior party meeting Wednesday, Saenuri Party floor leader Choi Kyung-hwan said rival parties at one time failed to bridge differences on key issues and were stuck in a stalemate, but eventually found common ground on reviving the economy and improving the people's livelihood. Choi said talks with the opposition party will begin soon. Main opposition Democratic Party floor leader Jeon Byung-hun on Tuesday hinted at accepting the joint declaration idea proposed by his ruling party counterpart on Monday. Jeon said he will meet with Choi to discuss the matter. Choi also noted some vulgar language was used during parliamentary inspection sessions on government offices Wednesday, but overall the inspections are progressing smoothly based on mutual respect among parties. South Korean shares have closed lower as the market grew anxious as U.S. lawmakers are struggling to find a breakthrough on debt ceiling talks in Congress. The benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index on Wednesday dropped 6.35 points, or 0.31%, closing at 2,034.61. Foreigners net bought 170 billion won worth of Korean shares, tying the longest buying streak record of 34 days set in 1998, although it did not stop the index from falling. The tech-heavy Kosdaq also went down 7.44 points, or 1.4%, closing at 525.68. On the Seoul foreign exchange market, the local currency gained 1.3 won against the U.S. dollar, closing at 1,065.5 won.